Hey guys, what is going on? I hope you all are doing well today. Elliot here, and welcome back to The Fragrance Well. So guys, one of the great things about fragrances that we all know and love is that they have the ability to start conversations, garner some attention, positive or negative, but we're not going to get into that. Obviously garner compliments. You know, they're an extension of how you present yourself to others in the public, in society, etc., etc. So with all of that being said, I thought I would do a video about some fragrances that I think are good options for leaving a lasting impression, and that is today's video topic. Now, remember, a fragrance can certainly start a conversation, can certainly be a way to introduce yourself to other people without it being verbal, but obviously to keep that impression and truly making lasting, it matters what you do after they've smelled the fragrance. Can you hold down a conversation once it's been started? Can you leave an impression on people by your personality and how you are with others? I'm not here to teach you that in this video, but always keep that in mind. I think that's a skill set that every person should have. Before we get started, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I upload new content. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so fragrances that leave a lasting impression. When I say this, I'm thinking of social settings. So whatever the social setting may be, whether you know the people or not, it's a situation where people are meant to be social. I don't think this is necessarily going to garner this kind of attention, at least on a regular basis, if you're just simply going to the grocery store, so keep that in mind. First up, from the house of Amouage, we've got Jubilation 25. Amouage Jubilation 25. Obviously one of the most popular fragrances from the house of Amouage. This fragrance is stunning in my opinion. Took me a while to get it, but I was waiting for a particular price on a particular seller, and they finally got it back in stock and I jumped right on it. So this fragrance opens up a little bit fruity, has that kind of infamous blackberry accord in the opening, but the overall essence of the fragrance is going to be smoky resins, kind of oriental, very dry, woody kind of fragrance. It's definitely a very classy fragrance and certainly not like many fragrances on the market today, especially in the designer world. I experienced this fragrance a long time ago when I first kind of started diving into fragrances and first experienced the house of Amouage, so I knew I wanted this one, but what I didn't really realize at the time that I realize now is that this is probably one of the easier, more Middle Eastern style Amouage fragrances to wear. This one can work in a variety of situations, but it is also very classy, very elegant, very intriguing in my opinion, and I think it could be a great conversation starter if you wear it in the right social setting. I'll let you decide what the right social setting is. I'm not here to put restrictions on anything. I have in my mind what I might wear it for, but I do think this is a fragrance that can certainly leave a lasting impression. Once again, from the house of Amouage, we've got Jubilation 25. Next up, coming from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian, we have got Grand Soir. Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Grand Soir. Those who know this fragrance already know what I'm talking about. That spicy, resinous, rich, warm sweetness, alluring quality that this fragrance has can easily be a conversation starter. It's certainly thought of as an evening wear fragrance. I do think it shines in that scenario, but honestly, I think this can work for a good office as well. But point being, for the topic of the video, definitely can leave a lasting impression. It may be kind of, I don't know if I would say old, but it's maybe well known in the fragrance community. But to those who are not into fragrances, they haven't experienced many things like this. Sure, the warm and sweet fragrances are in right now, but all of that style of fragrance that's being released right now still doesn't really hold up to this in my opinion. So once again, from the house of MFK, a great lasting impression fragrance, Grand Soir. Alright guys, next up, coming from the house of Parfums de Marley, probably a well-known one I would think, this is Layton. Parfums de Marley's Layton. Primarily thought of as a great fall date night fragrance. Well, yes, it is that. It obviously can work in other scenarios as well. This one is, really known as a good compliment getter, which honestly, compliment getters do play the role of being great lasting impression fragrances. However, for this list, I'm trying to do ones that maybe the general public at large are not as familiar with. In the fragrance community, we know this scent very well, but that doesn't mean the general public knows much about it, and they don't. Combines that trifecta of freshness, sweetness, and spiciness. Has some nice apple accords in it, a little bit of freshness coming from lavender as well. Also has that spiciness, that warmth with some vanilla. Lots of cardamom in this too. We know it very well. It's definitely a compliment getting fragrance, a crowd pleasing fragrance. And in my opinion, it's a pretty good quality fragrance as well. But it definitely can be a good option when you want to leave a lasting impression on those you're going to meet, especially for a date night. I mean, it is a good date night scent. Let's just call it what it is. Once again, from the House of Parfums to Marley, this is Layton. Alright guys, so the next one's coming from the house of Orto Parisi. We've got Bergamask. Orto Parisi's Bergamask. I've talked about this fragrance a little bit on this channel. I would just say, for those who are not familiar with this scent, if you were to get your hands on it and first smell it, you might not think that this would be one that is crowd pleasing, but I don't know what superpower this fragrance has, but it has the ability to move crowds. It is insane. Now it is a freshie, and you know, freshies tend to be very pleasing to people, but it has a very strong musk accord in it that, I'll be honest, if you smell it up close, it has a little bit of a funk to it. So that's why I think a lot of people may think, you know, if they don't have experience with it, that this fragrance would not be one that would leave a lasting impression, at least not a positive one. But it is so pleasing in the air. It has almost this alluring primal sexiness to it that can definitely be a conversation starter and certainly leave a lasting impression for those who have not experienced a scent like this. Along with that deep musk, I think there's plenty of bergamot in this, hinting at the name. The notes are not given by this house, but also lots of bergamot. And I think there's also some woody accords and may even be some aldehydes in here. I'm obviously just kind of using my own nose to really guess what could be in here. I have no idea what's actually in here, but this is definitely a stunning fragrance. Certainly one that I think can leave a lasting impression. Once again, Orto Parisi's Bergamask. All right, next up, coming from the house of Rasasi, we've got Hawas. Rasasi's Hawas. Those who know already know. This is a incredibly crowd-pleasing fragrance. Smells very fruity. It's not really high quality, you know, it smells very artificial. It's fruity, it's spicy, it's fresh, but it is just super crowd pleasing. It smells great in the air. It is a little juvenile for my taste. It's not one I reach for a lot, but that's not a knock on it. That's just how the scent comes across. But one thing is for sure, certain social gatherings, particularly ones that may be outdoors when it's a little bit warmer out, this will definitely leave an impression. It's no secret to everybody who's in the community, or at least has been in the community for, you know, at least 1.5 to 2 years, that they've heard about the compliment hype that this fragrance delivers. If you've got it, you can probably understand why that hype is there. And as I've stated earlier in the video, if a fragrance is known to be kind of a compliment getter, it automatically has the ability to potentially sway crowds, draw positive attention, and even leave a lasting impression. So this one's no different from the house of Rasasi. Hawas. Coming up next, from the house of the Harmonist, we've got Hypnotizing Fire. The Harmonist, Hypnotizing Fire. I did not choose this one simply because of the name. I didn't even think about it till now, but this does absolutely have a hypnotizing quality to it. I often talk about the fragrance in more of its artisanal light, if you will, how I think the fragrance, you know, makes me think of a fire starting from watching a fire burn from start to finish. But this does have a sexy quality to it. It's very fresh and spicy and warm, kind of a booziness in there, and a really balanced sweetness to it. I think this fragrance definitely has the ability to turn heads. There's spicy notes like clove and pimento. There's a praline accord in here, making it slightly gourmand. It's a delicious fragrance, but it's also very unique. I personally have not come across anything that quite smells like this, even if it's done in a style that's not new. As far as I'm concerned, if someone picks this up in the air, unless they're just super sensitive to, you know, the spicy nature of this, they're gonna enjoy the smell of it, and therefore has the potential to leave a lasting impression by being a conversation starter. Once again, from the Harmonist, this is Hypnotizing Fire. All right, next up, coming from the house of Aventus Parfums, we have got Divine Aphrodisiac. Aventus Parfums, Divine Aphrodisiac. So this fragrance here has a very strong and very interesting peanut butter accord. Also has notes in it like sesame seed. There's almond, there's orris butter, there's praline, there's coffee. This is a 100% gourmand fragrance. This was creatively directed by Bowtie the Fragrance Guy. If you know anything about him, he loves gourmand fragrances, so this is pretty much all his love of gourmands put into one bottle. Now, I personally haven't come across anything that has a peanut butter accord or even sesame accord in it like this does. Gives it a very distinct smell, which I think is perfect for having the potential to start a conversation. Now, the peanut butter accord in here, doesn't smell like you just rubbed peanut butter all over yourself. It's not that distinct, but it is a very unique smell. I would say for this fragrance, you need to wear it, because otherwise it could wear you, because that might throw a little people that it smells this gourmand. Gourmands in general can definitely be alluring fragrances, but for certain situations and certain people, it could actually throw them off. They might think it's a little weird that you want to smell like food. So keep that in mind. You got to have some confidence to pull this off, in my opinion. But nevertheless, the fragrance is very unique, and I do think it is a potential conversation starter, thus having the potential to leave a lasting impression. Once again, from Aventus Parfums, Divine Aphrodisiac. All right, and last but not least, from the house of Creed, yeah, it's Aventus. Creed Aventus. Now, please, everybody in FragCom out there, let me explain. I know we are all tired of this scent, bored of it, tired of all the clones, tired of all the inspired buys, yada, yada, yada. But listen, have you ever seen anybody react to this fragrance who's never smelled it before? I just recently did. I've seen it ever since I started collecting fragrances and started going to stores and smelling fragrances and seeing people pick up Creed Aventus for the first time and go nuts over it. Guys, this fragrance still has the ability to wow people. We're not new to it. We've been around it. We've been around the clone DNAs, the inspired by DNAs, Aventus itself, all the different batch variations. So to us, it doesn't have that quality anymore, but there are still people out there who have never smelled this, and they still react probably as most people in FragCom reacted when the fragrance first came out. So yes, even to this day, Creed Aventus is a fragrance that can leave a lasting impression. Here it is right here. They call it the king of fragrances for a reason. Whether I agree with that doesn't really matter. Alright guys, that's the video. That was 8 fragrances that I think have the potential to leave a lasting impression on those you meet when they smell the fragrance. Feel free to let me know down in the comments below a fragrance that you like to use when you want to try to use a lasting impression, or just a fragrance you think has the potential to leave a lasting impression. Honestly, any fragrance really has that possibility. It's what you do after the person smells the fragrance that really makes the impression stick. I appreciate you guys watching all the way until the end. Remember to be well and smell well, and I will see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.